Good evening and welcome to this edition of the SWBN News Watch. I am Chimila Chike. Thank you for joining us tonight. Our top story today highlights two distressing incidents of persecution against Christians in Pakistan. The 22-year-old Christian man named Naman Masih has been sentenced to death under the country's blasphemy law. The Sessions Court announced its verdict at the new central jail in Punjab province, though the prosecution failed to provide evidence of the blasphemy charge against him. Responding to the verdict, Naman's father, Ashgar Masih, told Morning Star News that Naman was sleeping in the house when he was arrested, but the police have alleged that he was in a park showing blasphemous images to 9 to 10 people at 3:30 a.m. that day. Our sources report that Naman's attorney, Laza Allah Rakna, expressed his disappointment with the verdict, stating that there was no evidence provided by the prosecution to support the blasphemy charge against his client. Despite numerous contradictions in this case, the court has issued the conviction, leading Rakha to call it a, quote, murder of justice. He plans to appeal the decision once the written verdict is released. In addition, Naman Masih faces another blasphemy charge in Bahawanagar, and the verdict for that trial is expected to be announced this month. In another incident, a Christian housekeeper named Asma Gafam, who worked for Huda Adnan, was subjected to physical abuse and held hostage by her Muslim employers. Asma, who worked for Huda Adnan for 5 years, informed her employer that she could no longer continue due to a medical condition related to her pregnancy. However, Adnan insisted that she continue working. Things took a turn for the worse when Adnan accused Asma of stealing a significant amount of money. Asma vehemently denied the allegations, but Adnan and her husband enlisted the help of the police to force a confession. Asma recounts being verbally abused, physically beaten, and tortured for several days until she agreed to admit to the alleged theft. Her husband, who went to report her missing, was also arrested by the police. Asma's condition deteriorated, leading to her release and subsequent medical treatment. Despite her attempts to seek justice by reporting the incident to the authorities, her complaint was dismissed without any investigation. Instead, her former employers retaliated by filing a false theft charge against Asma and her husband. Pakistan ranks as the 7th most dangerous country for Christians, according to Open Doors 2023 World Watch list. Just last year, it held the 8th position on the same list. Moreover, the United States Department of State designated Pakistan as a country of particular concern for severe violations of religious freedom. This alarming trend reflects the challenging environment faced by Christians in the country. Please stay with us for our next story. Our next story is on El-Rufai's controversial statement. The immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, recently came under fire following his alleged promotion of religious politics to advance the cause of his political agenda, this day reported. El-Rufai made a claim that the Muslim ticket in the Kaduna governorship election would continue for over 20 years, also claiming that the same strategy has been applied at the national level. What?
Abinda muka samu muka yi a Kaduna yanzu an yi shi a ƙasa gaba daya. Babu wani makareci da zai zo ya ce zai fito ya ce shi zai yi siyasa na Kiristanci ya ci zaɓe. Peter Obi ya yi ga inda yake. An yi maganin wannan, dole suka yi shiru. Tun da Asiwaju ya ci zaɓe kan tsit. To da haka ne za a samu zaman lafiya a ƙasar nan. To shi ma ka gani aka sake aka ƙara sai komi sai ya wallahi.
However, on the Rise TV's morning show, the chairman of the Kaduna State Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend Joseph Hayab, dismissed Nasir El-Rufai's alleged claims of Islamization. Hayab advised Nigerians to ignore El-Rufai, stating that his recent statements about a Muslim ticket and President Bola Tinubu's victory were merely tactics to further his alleged presidential ambitions while promoting division. He made the statement while accusing El-Rufai of seeking attention playing to the gallery and attempting to provoke unsuspecting Nigerians. Hayab suggested that El-Rufai's actions were driven by personal ambition rather than a genuine concern for the country. This is what he said. Watch.
This video in the first place is real because that is El-Rufai for you. Some of us have known El-Rufai for saying these kind of things, for plotting these kind of issues, and for masterminding this whole thing. But many people thought we were just fighting or we're stopping him for something else. God has helped us for him to come out publicly and make Nigerians know who exactly is El-Rufai. If you have known El-Rufai in the past 20 years, and you watch this video now, then you will know that this is the El-Rufai you know, because El-Rufai have not changed. El-Rufai just remain a chameleon. El-Rufai just remain a pretense. El-Rufai just remain who he is every day, thinking he will outsmart people by playing games. But God has helped us that he openly say out his mind. But let me put it clear, that for even thinking that the victory of Asiwaju was a Muslim thing shows the problem with the man called El-Rufai. You see, the problem with the man is inferiority. The man is actually living in complex. Every day he thinks people look down on me. People see I'm not fit to be. So he said things to show his might. He acted in a way to show his might. Everybody knew that the victory of Asiwaju, whatever others are contesting in court is not our concern, was a collective voting by Christians. In the first place, Benue State is over 90% Christian. Asiwaju won there. So will you say that there were no Christian votes? Rivers State, you will say there were no Christian votes, and you can go on and on and on and look at other states. So I don't even understand the argument.
Netizens who watched the interview on Arise TV reacted to Hayab's response to El-Rufai. One user, simply identified as FNM, commented that, quote, "This man is the reason why El-Rufai is insulting Christians." Another YouTube user wrote that, quote, "Khan has really failed us. Ignore El-Rufai at your own peril." According to Release International, in the year 2022 alone, over 6,000 innocent Christians fell victim to the ruthless attacks of Fulani extremists, with Kaduna being an epicenter. These perpetrators took many lives, decimating 17 villages. But the tragedy doesn't end there. The situation continues to escalate. According to Open Doors World Watch list, Nigeria has now been branded as the 6th worst place, ranking higher in persecution than countries like Pakistan, Iran, and even Afghanistan, notorious for their severe violation of religious freedom. Although Hayab's response was politically correct, this is an alarming wake-up call that demands immediate attention. Nigeria must confront this grave crisis and take a decisive action to ensure the safety and freedom of its Christian population. Stay with us for our next story. Our next story is on a controversial report that is causing quite a stir in the education system. The United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child, known as CRC, has released a set of recommendations that have faith-based schools and parents up in arms. The CRC is calling for two significant changes. First, they want compulsory collective worship to be repealed, and second, they want parents' rights to withdraw children from sex education to be scrapped. The report argues that these challenges would ensure children's freedom of expression and the ability to freely practice their religion or belief. In addition to these recommendations, the CRC also calls for the religious education syllabus in Northern Ireland to include, quote, education on and respect for a diversity of religions. These recommendations by the CRC have sparked a fierce debate about the role of faith in education. Lizzie Harewood, a concerned parent and the executive officer for the Association of Christian Teachers, ACT, called these measures unreasonable. In her very words, and I quote, "I would be concerned if these recommendations were enacted. Faith-based schools already have largely restricted powers and selection, and the faith-based values of schools actually make them very popular amongst parents. So I think that restricting them further would be unreasonable," end of quote. However, Haywood believes that these measures are part of an agenda to transform the education system to be secular and inclusive. She argues that this goal is simply unattainable. In her words, and I quote, "Any school that any child attends, no matter where they are in the world, will be religious, and by that I mean that it's impossible to discuss education and such matters neutrally." She goes on to contend that while children shouldn't be forced to pray to a God they don't follow, the Christian faith should still have a place in educational institutions. Parents should still be able to choose the best place for their children to be educated, especially places that align with their beliefs and values. It is important to know that the Equality Act 2010 prevents discrimination based on religion or belief. While faith-based schools are allowed some exemptions, Haywood argues that these exemptions are rare and that the legislation ensures religious diversity and inclusivity. That's the bit we can take on this very story. We will continue to follow this story as it develops. Stay with us as we bring you more news from across the globe. Now to our final story on this edition of the SWBN News Watch. Influential Christian broadcaster and former presidential candidate Pat Robertson has died at the age of 93. Robertson, who founded the Christian Broadcasting Network, passed away at his home in Virginia Beach. The Christian Broadcasting Network, which Robertson established in 1960, announced his death. No specific cause of death was provided. In a heartfelt tribute, his son and CEO of the Christian Broadcasting Network, Gordon Robertson, said, and I quote, "My dad was at home, surrounded by his family when he entered glory and met his Savior face to face." He described his father as an extraordinary man by any standard. He was, quote, "an evangelist, a humanitarian, an entrepreneur, an educator, an author, a statesman, a television personality, a man of global influence and tremendous vision," end of quote. Pat Robertson, a Baptist minister known for his involvement in politics, was widely recognized as one of the most prominent evangelical broadcasters and entrepreneurs in the United States. For over 50 years, Robertson's popular television show, The 700 Club, captivated American audiences with its religious content. Today, it remains one of the longest-running television programs to date and continues to air on the Christian Broadcasting Network. Beyond broadcasting, Robertson's legacy includes founding Regent University, an evangelical Christian school located in Virginia Beach, as well as establishing the American Center for Law and Justice, an organization dedicated to defending the First Amendment rights of religious individuals. Additionally, he was instrumental in the creation of Operation Blasphemy, an international humanitarian organization. Pat Robertson's wife of nearly 70 years, Didi, passed away in April 2022. He is survived by his 4 children, 14 grandchildren, and 22 great-grandchildren. Pat Robertson leaves behind a remarkable legacy as a broadcaster, entrepreneur, and influential figure in the evangelical community. His impact will be remembered for years to come. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Till we meet next Thursday, 9 p.m. I remain Chimla Chike. Don't forget to like and share this video.